is Andy from Game Changing Design. And we've got Jen and Blake, and we're going to be going kind of through the process as we develop our rulebook for Ins and Outcasts as we get ready for GameCon. We are running, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to be one of the founders. With us, like I said, is Jen. She's our artist, and she's the one who's hosting the stream tonight. Jen, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Jen, also one of the co-founders for Game Changing Designs. I'm currently working on putting together our rule book. Been working on this for the last several days, so just trying to give you all a sneak peek at what I'm working on today.
And Blake, who are you, and what do you do?
I'm Blake. I'm the co-founder and designer at Game Changing Designs. I help make the games and manage various other things. I don't have a lot more to say than that.
No, I mean it's good. Like Blake is going to be the one using it if there's a social media post, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, he sells himself short, but he's also been super diligent reaching out to a lot of publishers, kind of beating the bushes for us while Jen and I have been working on the other stuff. So yeah, it's been a roller coaster getting this game off the ground, right? Hey Blake, can you check the stream to make sure our levels are okay? Because I don't want to be like, kind of like a Norwegian heavy metal band.
Yeah, let me definitely real quick.
So, Jenny, what are we working on today? Like, where are you at with the rulebook? Like, I know it's not like day one of working with RPGs, but tell me about your class.
So today I'm working on the glossary, which is kind of going over all of the terms, the special words and stuff that we're using in our game. And I'm kind of putting in little graphics to help explain what each word means, just to kind of illustrate what that does in the game. So, kind of some of the game mechanics. Yep, that's what I'm currently doing.
And a lot of that graphic, those additional graphics you do, not just for to pretty the thing up, but also for accessibility and to help cut down, especially like the localizing, right?
Yes.
Cool.
There is a bit of noise coming through that's not coming through on Discord. It's on the stream.
Oh, okay. What kind of a noise is it? Because it might be coming from my headset.
No, it's just like constant buzzing, kind of.
That might be Jenny's laptop fan. Would be the only way I can think of it. If it's a constant sound. Hey Jen, can you try moving your mic away from
Away from my laptop?
a little bit? Yeah. Or we could try maybe changing the directional focus of the mic. Okay. So Blake and I are going to entertain you. Jen, mute your mic. Okay. Have you muted it? Okay, cool. So yeah, pardon the technical difficulties, folks. This is the world we live in today, right? So we'll change this bidirectional to unidirectional. Pointed. Okay, Blake, can you check the stream now?
There's still some background noise.
Is it as bad? Help at all? Change at all?
It's less so.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. I think I have a solution. Okay. Let's. I think that's
Okay, is that any better?
Is that any better?
Or did I just make it
Or did I
worse?
just make it worse?
Because
It's kind of hard to tell.
is it still
Is
going?
it still going?
Like, do you hear the
Like, do you
background
hear the
noise?
background noise?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it's picking up Andy walking all over the place. How is it now?
The balance is a lot better.
You still hear
You
that
still hear that
noise in the
As
noise
background?
in,
in the background?
voices are louder in comparison to the buzzing.
Both those are still there?
Is it still there?
Yes.
I'm gonna try
I'm
turning
gonna
the
try
gain
turning
down.
the gain down.
Okay, is that any
Is
better?
that any better?
Nothing really changed.
Let's see.
Oh, you know what?
How is it now?
More or less the same.
Well,
Well,
I guess
for
we're
now, I
just
guess
gonna have
we're
to
just
deal
gonna
with
have
it.
to deal with
I
it.
heard Andy say, "Do you know what?" And it was very clear during that period of time.
Well, that was when I
That was
held
when
the
I
thing
held the
up,
thing up.
so
So
it could just be the
could just be the
proximity of
proximity of
Jen's
Jen's
face.
face.
How's this?
Less loud. You guys have a filter on that microphone?
We do.
We do.
Like physically?
Oh no, we
Oh
don't
no,
have
we
like
don't
a
have like a
cat or
cat
anything
or
like that.
anything like that. This is what we need to get a filter. Because the only thing we can do right now is change the directional focus of the mic. She's using the Yeti.
Yeah, that type of microphone is just really sensitive in general.
I mean, you could put like stock over it.
Yeah, one's. I hear people less use it.
We could put a sock on it.
I have no idea whether or not that would work.
Well, just to
So
avoid
it's to
echo,
avoid
echo
echo from
from
the top one as Jen's top mic is. So let me read it real quick and I'll try to switch things on to it. While we're doing that, do you want to strike up a conversation talking about, oh, I don't know, the challenges we faced with this rulebook. Nope. Okay.
Alright, trying again. How is this?
It's still there a tiny bit, but it's significantly better.
Okay. So, the sock might.
Discord is really quiet.
We can boost her on Discord. Should we mute her on Discord? Like, is her Discord boost? No. Is like, okay, so is Discord the audio on Discord low? We can just increase that. We reduce
Yes.
the gain for that. Okay. Hey, Jen, you remember how we reduced the volume from Discord? We need to pump it back up.
Is that through Discord?
Through OBS. Just a little slidey soundbar. Use to turn down the Discord volume.
Was it the.
Come up now.
Come up now. Yeah, that one. Yeah, turn that up. Alright, okay, so
Apologies, but is Discord volume good?
Discord volume good? Oh, we still stop.
Testing, testing.
Jenny is loud enough, but I can't tell with Andy because
Okay.
he's coming through the mic.
Okay, well, let me get downstairs and get onto the proper mic. So. Can you hear me now? No? Yes?
I can hear you.
Oh, yes, just low.
Okay, cool. Let me switch to my good mic.
Hang on. Can I hear myself?
That's
I'm just a little low, so
okay. Can you hear me okay now?
On my end, you both sound
yeah,
good.
also just a little low. That's because it's coming through Discord for you, but
Okay.
on Twitch it's recording it, which is different.
Okay. Well, try turning up the volume gain a little bit more, hon. Like, probably put it to full and see if that helps.
Alright, it's all the way up.
Okay. Is it still low, Blake? Like, I'm
a
not
little,
like, but I'm not blowing
but
out your ears
it's
or
like
anything like
hearable.
that. Okay, I'll take it for now. We'll review the tapes and come back to it a little bit later. Yep. So I guess that I should probably tune into the Twitch stream. Do we have any viewers?
I think me.
Okay. Okay. I am now looking at the stream just to see if there's anybody that pops into the chat. So, yeah. Well, let's talk about rule books and the joy we've had in building the rule book. This may seem like a really long rule book, but it's really tiny. It's designed to go into a very small box, so it's about, what's the dimensions on it, hun?
The box I think we're going for is 4 by 6 inches. So this rule book I think was like 3.5 by 5.5 inches total.
So if you can imagine trying to write a book in the span of a note card, that's basically how big this rule book is. Now, one thing we've added to this to kind of like cut down the amount of time that it takes people to get through the game or get into the game is a 2-page spread. That's a quick like a quick play guide. The idea is that it's between that and the player mat component, it has all the rules kind of like simplified, and then you can just use the rest of the book as reference. So I don't know how how much time you've gotten a chance to look at that, Blake, but what are your thoughts on that? Hello?
Sorry, I had to step away for just a second. Did I miss something?
Oh, I asked. We we had in this iteration of the rule book, one thing that we're going to be, the reason why we're not scrambling, the reason why we're pushing to get this ready for Gen Con is that we're trying a new thing where we're building a quick start guide. That's a 2-page spread that has that plus all the information on the player mat. Should give you everything you need to be able to play the game in one quick burst, right?
Yeah.
Have you taken a look at that yet?
Let me check if it's where I thought it was. Is it in the Discord or is it?
We have the PDF we've sent the PDF in the Discord, yeah.
Okay. I don't think I've looked at the quick one. I've only looked at the full book.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, then, yeah. So, what do you think of the current state of the rulebook? I guess, like.
Oh, right, that quick. I remember that quick rules. Yes, the quick rules actually. If you've just got somebody explaining it to you, it's very effective. Obviously, if you don't have somebody to explain it to you, you need the whole book more than likely. But if you've got somebody there who knows the game at least a decent amount, that the little card is basically all you need.
Gotcha. Well, I think that's been like one of our biggest criticisms for a while now is like, can you please make it easier to jump into the game? So, yeah, we hear you, and we are doing our best to try and do that. But like all things, it's going to be trial and error. Oh man, I can't even tell you how many drafts of the rules we've done just to get our print and play going.
Too many.
Right, I think we're on version 15 or 16. But that may not be entirely fair because we also do a lot of iteration. Just every time we change the cards, the print and play had to change too. So
yeah,
it's not a pure 1-to-1 ratio of fair example. But yeah, it's I enjoy the process. I think it's pretty fun.
I think we spent quite a long time on iteration 13. I want to say it was.
Yeah, I think that's where it rested before we hit kind of like we picked up some client work and we were doing that for a good chunk of time, and we kind of rested on 13 for a very long while, because I mean like 4 months, I would say.
Yeah, pretty much.
Something like that. Yeah. But now that we're back in the swing of things and itching to get the game out, I think it'll benefit from all the changes. So,
yeah, especially with some of the small rule changes we made, in addition to making the rulebook actually look a lot better.
Yeah, I mean that's the advantage of having our actual artist do the actual rulebook design as opposed to like having me do it. And it's not that I can't do it; it's just if you wanted to look, I'll get it done. But if you wanted to get it done and get it to look aesthetically beautiful, that's what the art, the art team is absolutely all about. Hashtag Jen's a great artist. But yeah, I would say that like the aesthetics of our game are constantly being lauded as like one of the biggest selling points. So most of that falls onto Jen's artwork, and I'm super stoked to see what's in store in the future. Like in terms of future editions and future expansions, like it's going to be really fun getting some new characters out there and seeing what they look like and getting them in dazzling color again. But all things in time. Let's see.
Do we have a place where the where you can see like a close up of the character art?
You mean as far as our stream is concerned, or like on our website
in general?
If you go to gamechangingdesigns.com, I believe I have it just scrolling on the main page. You can see all the cards. Now this art is a little outdated. Jen has actually recently revamped all the cards. Not like insanely, like they're still very similar. The character art's still the character art, but she's cleaned up the graphic design of the cards a little bit, made it a little bit more legible, and kind of moved stuff around and made things a little bit easier to see and to read. And she did that in such a clever way that I'm gonna have her talk about it. Like, tell them about like what she did when it came to like building future cards.
So I kind of combined all of the art into one file. That way for future expansions that we're going to make, I can just rely on some of the resources that were already created. So I can just turn layers on and off. I can turn like the gold coins on and off. I can turn colors on and off. That way I don't have to like copy and paste and make an entirely new file just for one card. I can just build it all out of one base file, kind of to simplify everything going forward.
Yeah, and one of the things you're also doing is using that in conjunction with the library feature on Adobe product, right?
Yep. So right now I mainly use Illustrator and InDesign. So I can manipulate objects in Illustrator, throw them in the library, and then I can easily access them through the library in InDesign. And I can do that also through Photoshop as well, just pull elements out that I need to use. But right now, since most of my art is vector, Illustrator is my kind of go-to. And then for the rulebook, I'm using InDesign just because it makes laying things out so much easier. So all of those assets that I've created, I can just basically drag and drop and put them where I want.
Okay. Awesome. I think I might have a solution for that weird buzzing. Be right back, folks.
Try talking now.
Hello? Testing, testing. I don't know if anything's coming through.
I mean, I can hear you. Let me try checking the stream, but I think what we were having was a little bit of a feedback loop. from having two audio inputs. So let me unmute the stream here.
Hello?
And
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. The buzzing's still there though.
Oh, should I undo what you did, or should I leave it?
You may as well undo what I did because it made you sound more like a robot.
Alright, how about now? How's that?
Let me... Okay, try talking now.
Hello? Testing, testing.
Well, I can hear you. I hear you through the stream.
Alright, so are we okay?
This is... I mean, I think we'll just keep going as is. I don't know why your mic is sounding so strange, but we'll get it sorted out.
Alright, well, I'll just have to be however it is right now.
I wonder...
I have a pretty good guess, but I think it's better to just figure that out a different time.
Okay, cool. Well, all right. So getting back to discussions, how have you, like, in the process of doing all this, Jen? Like, I know I've done a lot of this in Illustrator, but you're using InDesign for your layouts.
Yeah. InDesign is a lot more powerful than Illustrator for doing layouts. You can flow text from box to box more easily. You can do page spreads more easily. It's just easier to navigate, I feel, than Illustrator. Also, Illustrator, I feel, becomes a little bit more clunky with the more assets you bring into it. I mean, my InDesign's kind of bogging down even with everything, but I am running on, I think, I've got 23 spreads going right now, or 23 pages, with lots of little elements. So, I mean, it's pretty resource heavy right now, and will become even more so as I finish off the book. But I'm just kind of doing my best to get everything in there. Yep.
So when it comes to graphic design,
Yeah.
What would you recommend for someone that's getting ready to build their first rulebook? Like, what tips would you give for the first draft versus the final draft?
Well, what I did for this was kind of break everything down into the different sections that I wanted to do, and then kind of figure out what to put first, second, third, etc. I referenced a lot of other rule books from our own collection just to see the flow that other games used. One thing I did was look for rule books of similar size to what we're doing, just to see how they handled like space constraints, because that's one thing that I'm having to worry about is how much information can fit on a page. So if I go back to some of the previous pages, let's just pop into like this page here. Like, I knew I wanted to have this information fill just 2 pages. I felt if it for the quick start guide, if it was all on one page, it would be too crowded and I didn't want it to go to 4 pages because then it's not really a quick start guide. It's becomes a little too lengthy. So working with the content, figuring out what would fit on a page for certain things. Like if I go to this one, like I knew I wanted this amount of information just to fill these 2 pages because it just makes sense that way. Whereas the glossary is something that can fill multiple pages and it can kind of expand as much as it needs because it has the space to play. So that's kind of what I'm working with here is just kind of adding those elements that kind of fill it out as I see fit, I guess.
Yeah, and so like now you wouldn't probably would you go to these links for your first draft? Like
probably probably not for my first draft. I think what we had to start with, what you had put together, Andy, was just an outline. That's what I worked with, was just your outline. So from there, I just kind of filled out the text. Like I had like a components list. So I knew I had this is what would be components. Is what would be the objective. So I had very basic information. And I mean, you can kind of see what other games do as well in their rule books, like what's important to have in the rule book. And so, like, I pulled out like 5 or 6 different rule books and took basically the same information that they all had individually that kind of overlapped. So, like, components was one, objective was another one. If I go to the next page, like how to set up the game, what does the play area look like. So I just kind of had these bullets to work with. And then from there, I had to determine like what would fit on a page. So some of the information I dedicated a single page to, because I felt like if I tried to squeeze any other information in there, it would either be too crowded or you just wouldn't get all of the information you wanted to fit there. So.
Gotcha. Are there any resources you'd recommend for people just starting to dip their foot into the waters of graphic design?
Well, I know InDesign is a pretty powerful tool. If you're familiar with the other Adobe products, it's pretty simple to just jump right into, especially having that shared library between like Photoshop and Illustrator. If you're just doing a small rule book, you can lay it out in Illustrator. I've done plenty of spreads and things just using Illustrator for that, but if you're doing something that's multi-page, even if it's in a Word document, you could probably still lay all of your information out using like MS Word or something like that, and then I guess use the information you lay out to either you could do it in Photoshop. I wouldn't really recommend it, but having a tool where you could put your graphics and your text together is important, and then just having a way to kind of compile it all. I like InDesign because I can automatically put in the bleed margins for each of my pages, so that's already built in. Like if you see the purple line right here around the edge, that's the bleed cutoff, and I can put in all the marks for when it goes to print, where the edge of the page would be and stuff.
Gotcha. And I mean, like you went to school for graphic design for a year, a couple years?
A couple years. I have an associate for graphic design, so, and I've done a little graphic design work for clients in the past. So I have a background basically in graphic design and illustration. So it kind of
Sure.
yeah.
Are there any books you'd recommend, or like videos or anything like that you can think of?
I don't have any that I have on hand per se, but there's plenty out there for like using typography or for like graphic design layouts. I think for like a rule book though, you don't have to get too fancy. Something that's important is just keeping some negative space around things. That would be like the space in between text and objects, just so it stays more legible. You don't want things to become so crowded that it becomes difficult to read. So like later on in my rule book, keeping spaces between important parts is important there. Having
And I would imagine having a good understanding of what the final product's going to look like, because for me, I always forget that there's going to be a crease in the middle of these pages. You know, when I look at them, I'm always like, oh, it looks so empty. I should do something and put something there. It's like, don't do that.
Yeah, so I give myself a pretty good margin. So there's a 1/4 inch margin between the center of the page to where my text starts. The only time you would have text or images running towards the center is if you're doing like a full spread. So the way like a booklet works, you have basically this, like for example, this size page that I have here is printed front and back. But when I actually take this to print, my pages will be separated and put into a different order. Right now I have them in numerical order, like page 9 and 10 are next to each other, but when it actually goes to print, they may not be together just because of the way a booklet is deconstructed. So page 10, for instance, probably won't be printed on the same page as page 9. Just because when you assemble a booklet, all of these pages get stacked on top of each other and then stapled in the center. So this page 10 would probably be printed on a I don't even know right now.
It would have to be the middle of the book to be next to each other.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if I had 30 pages, the center of the book would be, I think it would be page 15 and 16 printed next to each other. And then you kind of go backwards and forwards from there on each side.
Like it'd be page 14 and 17, and then page 13 and 18.
Correct.
Down to
Yeah.
To the bottom.
Correct. The easiest way to figure out what gets printed on what page is just take some, 8.5 by 11 paper or whatever size you're working with, and stack a bunch of paper together, fold it in half, and then just number them. You can do like the cover, right cover on the front, and then just do, start your pages. Then when you take that apart, you can see what pages become your spreads. So like your cover would actually be the cover on one side, and then your back page would be over here, which I don't have it set up like that just yet, but the back of my booklet would be connected to the front of my booklet. And then when I flip that page open, it would be page 1 over here, and then the last page before the back of the booklet would be over here. So it would be page 1, and then whatever the last page over here.
Right. So what happens when you have an odd number of pages?
Typically,
Is that when you
so
slap a designer across the face, or do you?
so this is where a lot of planning comes into play. You either create a just a generic blank page, which I'm kind of planning for that maybe on this page, or you make like a filler. You either expand your content out to take up that space, or you just intentionally have a blank page.
Right.
It sometimes
so you
happens.
have like a half page that somebody just rips, and like glues onto the
Right, right. So I kind of have backup plans for when that happens. And you might have to just kind of move content around to accommodate for that. Since right now I don't know how long my book is actually going to be, I kind of have to take that into consideration. Like, I may have a page or 3 pages that I need to fill somehow. So.
Gotcha. So, I think that's probably one of the other big advantages to using one of the nicer layout softwares. I'm sure there's, like, the Creative Cloud license isn't exactly free. It's, especially not to get, like, the whole Creative Cloud suite. So, like, I don't know if there's any open source ones. I'm sure there are.
I'm not too familiar with all of the open source ones. I know, like, GIMP is the Photoshop equivalent. I'm sure there's equivalents for each one.
A quick Google search said that Scribus is like the top result. It's open source desktop publishing. But there are, you can. One of the questions that people ask is like, is there free software like InDesign? So, yeah, Scribus is the SCRIBUS is like the most extensive open source option. But, I'll be honest, sometimes it's worth it just to get the nicer tools that you get through like the expensive product.
Right. From my experience using just GIMP in the past, like, there is definitely a learning curve. Adobe has spent, at least a couple of decades developing their software. They've really, fine-tuned all of their menus and stuff. And when you go to these other programs, like, I feel like their menus are kind of haphazard, and finding the exact tools are never in, like, the most logical places.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, like, don't lose heart if you don't want to pay for Creative Cloud. There are alternative tools out there, but it in some ways is absolutely worth it. At the very least, you might want to try it for a month and see if it's worth the expense. You don't have to necessarily sign up for, like, forever licensing kind of dealio.
Right. So if you are a teacher or a student, they do have discounted versions for Adobe. So even if you are a part-time student, I believe you can get that discount, which is a pretty nice deal for Adobe. And it lasts for, I think, a year after you finish school. So you can get a license for pretty cheap, and it lasts for a fairly long time. I don't know what it is right now. It's like, what, $50 some a month, I think, for the full license.
All of that. Let's see.
I don't know.
And you can get breaks. You can probably get. I know, like, I'm looking at their website right now, and I know you can get breaks for. For all apps, you're looking at $80 a month. That is pricey. Otherwise, for
all
individual.
All apps is usually not necessary.
Well, no, but if you were gonna get Photoshop, Illustrator, and Creative Cloud, you're already over that. Is kind of the trick. Like, I personally, since I do a little bit of experience design, I've used XD a lot, and that's only $22.99 a month. But if I'm gonna be honest, you can use Adobe XD or you can get Figma for free, and that's uh, very useful. But we do a lot with Adobe products. That's where we, that's where we do anything that's animated. That's where we do anything that's vector based. So like honestly, the $80 is cheaper for me than it is to buy these programs individually. But that's me. So don't uh, don't blow your payroll if you can't afford licenses. Um, the other trick is that there are, of course, the open source alternatives. There was the thing I was going to mention though. Oh, if you're a nonprofit organization, I found this out because I work for a nonprofit, but there are discounts you can get through, I believe it's TechSoup. Make sure that's right. If you haven't signed up for TechSoup and you're a nonprofit, you are missing out because that is a super important resource to sign up for. Not only can you get discounted electronic devices, but getting the software discounts can basically mean that you have things like your Microsoft Office and Adobe products for a lot less. And if you're if you're a nonprofit, you probably want to save as much money as you can, ideally. But yeah, there's lots of ways to get Adobe stuff. I do lament the fact that they no longer make it so I can own the software. You can only rent it. But that is me, personally. I don't always need the updates. And oh my goodness, is it always so chaotic at the beginning of the year when they roll over the shift from the 2000 to the 2001 Illustrator. Because for some reason they always get angry at each other, like this is made with a different version of Illustrator, and you just have to deal with it. Like it'd be like, oh, I can't open this text. I'm like, why not? It's like, well, because I'm 2021, and that was made in 2020. I'm like, it's 3 days ago, guy. But obviously it's been a year of development for the push. So man, I always get a little antsy around January because I know it's going to be like, what's breaking today? Good times. So Jen, have you tried any other art software?
Not off the top of my head.
You've never done like Alias Sketchbook or like I imagine you probably haven't gotten into what's that new one, the 3D Studios, or no, it's that I see. Everybody's been going nuts over it. I can't remember it, but I know you've mainly stuck to Adobe since you've been working on our stuff. That's for sure.
Yeah, I've been using Adobe, mainly Photoshop, since I think version 2 or 3. I think I was in middle school or high school, way back when I first got to use Photoshop. I picked up Illustrator when I learned graphic design, and that's InDesign wasn't even out then. We were using I want to say Desktop Publisher and Quark for a lot of the graphic design layouts. Quark is such a difficult program to use. It's almost like trying to learn 3D modeling, but for like page layouts. So it's like this very over-the-top program that I don't think anybody even uses anymore. Like, I don't even know if people have that software. Like when InDesign came out, it was like a game changer because everything became integrated um, with Photoshop and Illustrator, and all of the other Adobe products. Like you could just combine everything. It was the same with Dreamweaver. Like I used Dreamweaver before Adobe bought it as like a web design tool, and then um, Adobe took it over and kind of just made it better, I guess. Except I think I stopped using it when Adobe bought it out. Um, yeah.
Well, web design has changed a lot.
Yes,
too.
it has. Yeah.
Like WordPress has done a lot, and then like WordPress isn't even like the biggest name in web design stuff anymore. Like there's like 4 competing like that I think there's like Wix and I know there's at least a couple more, and I'm just blanking on it. But I'm pretty sure there's like 3 or 4 companies that are like butting heads to be like, no, I'm the best web design wizard. And Illustrator or like Adobe's just kind of like sitting in the corner like, yeah, we have Dreamweaver. And like clearly nobody's talking too much about Dreamweaver, at least not in the circles that I've been in. Like,
Yeah.
I've never met like a Dreamweaver enthusiast who's like, oh my god, Dreamweaver just came out with this update. It's amazing. I will say one of the things that Adobe is doing that I'm super interested in messing around with is they have a character animation program where you basically make a 2D rig for kind of like VTubing, but it's with 2D elements, and it seems fascinating to go through all the processes to really build out like an animated character that you can just, it tracks your movement with your with your camera, and it basically is like an overlay for you as a person, but with a 2-dimensional animated element to it.
Yeah.
That sounds, oh man, it sounds like you could do some really cool like simple low production or like low cost like productions, like almost like animated improv would be unique to try through that.
Yeah, it sounds really complicated.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It does not sound easy at all, but neither is like making a VTuber avatar or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, but thankfully that's not the industry we're in right now. We're clearly in game design. We work through this amazing rulebook.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a fan, but I'm biased. I'm not gonna lie. Like, clearly, I got a staked interest in this succeeding. So we're getting close to wrapping up. We got about 7 minutes left. I do notice there's a couple users in chat, so if anyone does have any questions, feel free to type them up. Let us know. Ins and Outcast, we are going to be at Gen Con. We will be actually at Gen Con Indy going into the first exposure playtest hall. So come join us. There's going to be sessions on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And you can meet Jen in the flesh and tell her that she does amazing artwork, and I'm sure she'll get all shy and coy and cute, and I will laugh. Not mockingly, but you know, I like to see it. It's always great to watch her blush. Yeah, you can come and play the game and try it out. We're gonna be, we're gonna be doing all sorts of fun stuff. So as we build up to that point, check in on Mondays and Fridays. Fridays, I believe we're gonna start trying to do an 8 o'clock stream to do live like playthroughs of the game on Tabletop Simulator. We will keep you posted on that, as we need to get at least one other human being in the room to make the game fun. But it's better with larger groups, so the more people we can get, the better. There's a few professors at Bradley University that we're talking to. We've got a few friends that are animators that are doing some fun secret project stuff for us, so look forward to that. But they might come on to that stream, play a couple rounds of the game, and chitty chat about their goings on and what they're doing. And if you personally, just want to join in, if you've got a cause or an issue you want to talk about, or a way you want to promote yourself, hey, we do a thing on Fridays at 8 o'clock where we play our board game for about an hour, and it doesn't take that long to play. It's about a half-hour game, so we can either get a couple rounds in, or we can take a little time to just chat and find out what people are up to. So yeah. But the game itself, we are planning to run a Kickstarter for that in October. I think currently we are settled on October 19th. I will definitely keep everybody posted as if that's going to change. I imagine currently we're well on course for it, but there's always the possibility that we might have a hiccup, or we might need to push it back just a little bit. But we really want to keep it going and get ready for kind of not capitalizing, like giving people who've come and seen us at Gen Con and people who've been like watching us from now until October the opportunity to support us, to support the thing and get stuff done. We can get expansions out. Jen has most of the second expansion basically sketched out. We just need to do some finished up art, so look forward to some fun streams on that in the future. And hopefully we can get it all rolling, starting with our core expansion of the Wobblin' Wagon. Oh. Cool. Any parting words you want to give, Jen, or any advice you want to hand out, so I'm not just rambling? A lunatic?
I don't know.
I will say,
yeah, go ahead.
Quick,
yeah.
If these videos will be posted on YouTube. If anyone ever wants to reach out to us, we have a contact form on GameChangingDesigns.com. I believe if you go to the About page, let me. Oh, you know what? I guess I need to get that going. Yeah. Right. Well, you can check out our stuff at GameChangingDesigns.com. I will hopefully get our contact page up and running, but hit us up on Facebook. Feel free to leave comments, ask questions. If there's anything you want to see about our process, let us know. So yeah, I'll let you have the floor back. Okay.
Oh, well.
Or rather, I'm going to throw you under the bus and put you on the hot seat for no reason.
Yeah, I don't know what to add to that.
If I can give one piece of advice to anybody that's getting out there and looking to do digital art, take time to learn your shortcuts, because that is where the magic happens. I cannot, to me it's frustrating going from one Adobe product to the other because the shortcut keys change and in ways that cannot be fixed.
Yes, that is something I noticed when popping into this new version of InDesign, with some of the ridiculous shortcuts just to say paste into place. I have to press 4 keys just to do that.
Well, to be fair, it's in Illustrator you have to press 3, so it's not that massive of an upgrade, but it does mean that you're tying your finger into a pretzel.
Yep.
But yeah, learn your shortcuts. That's the best thing you can do when learning any art program, because it becomes second nature, and it helps you really kind of get into your flow state and embrace the medium for what it can do, and do things that only you can do.
Yep. I guess if I were to give some advice, it would be to invest in a powerful computer. Because currently I'm running the stream. I've got InDesign open. I've got Illustrator in the background. I have, I don't know, probably 10 programs running at one time. And it's, I think, crucial to have something that can handle not just running multiple programs, but allowing you to develop some large files in one go. Otherwise, like if I had a kind of a basic computer, I'd probably have to break my rule book down into a couple pages at a time just to handle a lot of the intense activity that I'm kind of working on. So yeah.
And if you are like trying to do this kind of stuff on a budget, there are some pretty good videos out there on how to build a budget PC for graphic design or for art. Like just punch, budget build for art in YouTube, and you'll get a bunch of results. But I do know BAM Animations has a pretty good one, but there's others, so just keep an eye out. I think right now that might be a tricky thing to do because it seems like it's impossible to find graphics cards probably just because of shortages like everything else right now. But yeah, keep an eye out. If you can get the right stuff for cheap, you can really get a lot done without having to blow your bank account. All right, well that brings us to the hour, so we're gonna call it a night. Thank you for joining. Thanks for tuning in. Keep tuned as we show you more of what we're up to and get some more work done as we get ready for Gen Con, and hopefully we'll see some of y'all there.
All right, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks for taking the time to watch as I slowly make additions to the rulebook. Really appreciate our viewers, and again, hope to see you all at Gen Con and try out our game.